what he says in everybody. Hope you're all doing well, and if not, then you need to sort it out right now. So this is another little video of some psychedelic advice. I think you've all been enjoying these topics, or at least I hope so. This one's about setting your intentions going into a trip, and it's something I think a lot of people don't understand or aren't aware of, about how important it is to actually realise why you're tripping in the first place. But a lot of people just take psychedelics and I just expect them to fix me, or expect to receive these insights, these deep metaphysical insights, or expect to get something out of it that's going to give me. But a big part of it, a bit like how you set in your mindset and the environment you're in, influences your trip. Another big aspect of that that's not talked about often enough is the intention you set, which basically means, say I'm going to take some mushrooms or something, and I need to like lay out the groundwork for what I want out of it. So say, I want to contemplate my psyche, or I want to work through my trauma. So you just keep that in your mind, you'd focus on it, deeply contemplate it, possibly even a few days before you go into the trip, write it down, solidify it in your experience, and then when you go into the trip, deeply contemplate it. Because the beauty of psychedelics and how they amplify your consciousness is they allow you to hone in on concepts and ideas deeper than you would be able to do when you're sober. So when you actually do this, you will be able to deeply contemplate, like, why have I experienced these traumas? Why do I have these aspects to my personality that I'm not happy with? Areas of my life that need work, or even deeper stuff like the nature of suffering, the nature of the reality, the universe, God, the soul, just anything really, literally anything you can hone in on really with your psychedelic experience, as long as you go into it with that intention solidified. And once you're in the trip, your amplified consciousness will allow you to pick apart these ideas and really get to the root of them, and hopefully help you work through whatever's been ailing you or whatever you're just curious about. I know I've done it before. I remember when I took mushrooms, I think I took 3.5 grams, and I really wanted to get to the root cause of, like, why do I think negatively all the time, and why do I have all these mental ailments that were really getting to me, and why am I so reactive? And I really got to the root cause of it, and it was a mixture of everything. It was one of the big revelations was that I actually do it to myself. Like, I unconsciously think negatively and do it to myself, and the lack of awareness allows the negative thoughts to take over. And then after that trip, literally the day after, the morning after, I was almost about to get into an argument with someone, and I consciously was aware of how I was exacerbating things, but without that consciousness, without that awareness, I would have just done the classic gaslighting projection shit that humans like to do. The ego at work again, fucking bastard. So that really helped me, and then I've realised how powerful that setting of intentions was. And then through my next psychedelic experiences, especially with mushrooms, I found them really beneficial for it over other psychedelics personally. And I started to rewire my own health. It was like, why do I not have any energy all the time? And really tried to hone in on that problem and get to the root cause of it. And then obviously, when I was deep in my psychedelic trip, I sort of came to the revelations that, actually I do have a pretty unbalanced diet, unbalanced exercise regime. That again, your ego likes to filter all this stuff out because it loves to stay in homeostasis. It loves to stay on like a baseline rather than improving or going into the unknown and actually developing. It loves to like stagnate your growth and just keep you at where you're at. And that's one of the most challenging parts about life, is overcoming that ego and ironing the kinks out. And then if you can do that, especially with the help of psychedelics, you can grow and develop even deeper. And it will become quite challenging, but overcoming that challenge will produce one of the deepest pleasures in life and give you that sense of meaning that oftentimes we lack in a sober state, or just living life in general. Because I've talked about this before, about the meaninglessness of reality. It's actually one of its deepest beauties and can be one of its greatest pleasures, because you can create your own meaning out of meaninglessness. It's actually it's an integral part of how reality works, and you realise that, yeah, your life can be meaningless just sitting around doing nothing all day, but that emptiness has to exist for you to fill it with something that you find meaningful. And if there was this objective meaning to reality, that would actually diminish its depth, because that would mean everybody's just striving for one thing, when actually every single individual person has like their own subjective desires that they need to fulfill. And setting an intention with psychedelics can really help with that. So next time you do it, instead of just taking like a tab or some mushies or DMT and just expecting something to happen or change in your life, really try and take an effort in becoming an active part of that change and growth, because at the end of the day, psychedelics are a tool to help you grow, but oftentimes they won't just instigate your growth. You've got to do it yourself, and you've got to be the catalyst for it, because if not, you're gonna have a bad time, like, because usually people will just take psychedelics and just like abuse them, and then that'll just kick them in the ass, and as I've said before, this can produce like needless trauma that oftentimes, yeah, it can work through and develop from, but like I've said in the past, wouldn't you rather be doing it wisely and safely and have a more comfortable and smooth approach? Even if it is challenging, it can be a smoother challenge rather than a debilitating challenge that really wears you down and stunts your growth. So yeah, just a little video, hope this helped. A lot of people have been asking, when I put that thing out the other day about my Instagram, I had loads of messages, and it's been really interesting sharing some of my advice with you. I mean, I'm not the be all and end all of anything, but I definitely think through my experience, I've been through a lot of the bullshit that like newbie psychonauts are just going through, and it's good to share this wisdom, because a lot of the time you're just not going to find it anywhere. Even though there's a lot of coverage of psychedelics nowadays with the media and Netflix and the BBC doing all these documentaries, there's still not a lot of talk about the actual trips themselves. It's just about, oh yeah, psychedelics are helpful, and then yeah, that's good for the public to know, but we need to know the nitty gritty, mate. It's because you've got to get the in-depth and figure out all the kernels of the experience, which I feel like a lot of that in the mainstream coverage, it's just like very general overview. And I like to think that me and other people on YouTube are helping spread awareness of like just how complex oh, that was brilliant, complex this field really is, and how many traps you can get into. But if you're aware of these traps, you can overcome them and integrate them in a deeper fashion. So yep, if you're getting up to some black magic this weekend with the aid of some chemical allies, then make sure to set some intentions and try and figure out things in your life that are ailing you, or you're just generally curious about, and I bet that you will have an even deeper understanding of yourself and the world if you really set your intentions right and are clear about them and they're not vague. And yeah, that can really help you out. And if not, then well, I'm not going to do anything about it. So yeah, you need to sort yourself out at the end of the day. Psychedelics, again, they oftentimes just won't sort you out in an easy way. They will just allow you to have, again, that deeper awareness of how to do it in your integration time between trips. And that's why I think it's important not to just trip every other day, because not only will your tolerance not be able to handle it, you're just not going to get anything out of the experience either. It's just going to become flat, and that can oftentimes put you off it. It's like, oh, why is it not working? And it's like, well, you've got to give yourself time in between to integrate and understand. And yeah, the whole psychedelic experience, like life, is a journey, and slow and steady wins the race, children. Very true quote, and it can apply to all areas of mastery, because you master anything, don't you? Like, you don't just master your career or art overnight, do you? You keep grafting away, lad, and eventually that'll pay dividends. So yeah, hope you all have a good one, and we'll be back soon with some funky videos. There's a collab coming soon with me and another trip reporter, so it's been in the work. It's been in the work for quite a while. Oh my god, I'm always slipping on my words. It's actually well bad.